So one of the nicest ways that you can make your program a little bit more engaging and also ensure that you're actually increasing participation is to use tiers. So I want to show you how you can configure them really quickly. So we're going to go to loyalty and select tiers. Now what you'll notice when you originally land on this page is that you actually already have one tier, which may seem strange, but the reason for that is because we want to make sure everything is set up correctly, of course. And for your lowest tier, you need to create a tier that has no enrollment criteria so that as soon as a customer signs up for loyalty, they'll be enrolled into this tier. So we have your base tier here, and we can edit that to make it a little bit more branded and interesting. So I'm going to call it the bronze tier, and I'm going to say the lowest tier, everybody is automatically enrolled. And then you have the option to also add your image here if you would like to. And once you've configured everything, you hit submit. And now we're going to go back and we're going to actually add another tier, which is the first tier that's going to have any kind of enrollment criteria. So I'm going to hit add tier and I'm going to call it the silver tier. And the description is going to be intermediary tier between bronze and gold. And again, you can add your image here if you would like to. Now, the first thing you're going to see here is the tier conditions. And what we get you to do is first configure the total amount of credits received that are necessary to enter into this tier. And then we can later add some additional filters. So I'm going to select 250 credits for the enrollment criteria for the middle tier. And now if I navigate back to it now that it's been created and I click on entry criteria here on the left hand side, you can see that I have the option to enable additional criteria, which I would recommend if you want to make your loyalty program a little bit more interesting. And it also helps you to build better habits within your customer base. So we're going to hit enable additional criteria, and we're going to start a new filter group, and we're going to do it based on a contact attribute. And that attribute is going to be the last transaction date. And I'm going to say is less than X days ago. And I'm going to say 181 days. And now I'm going to hit save filter, and I'll get an overview of the expected results. So how many customers will be enrolled into the tier once I've made this change. And then I can hit save filter, and that will automatically be updated. Now, just to give you a little bit of context, the reason why I like to add this extra filter whereby you need to have a transaction within the last 181 days is that one of the biggest indicators of loyalty is not just frequency, but also recency. And if we have the parameter of 181 days or less, then that means a customer will have visited us or shopped with us at least within the last 6 months. And that's quite a nice time frame in my opinion. Of course, it depends on your industry, but you don't want somebody to be able to hold silver status or even gold status for longer than 6 months or a year or whatever it may be if they haven't actually visited your store. So if you choose about a half a year or even 1 year, it's a great way of making sure that your customer can maintain their status if they're not actively shopping with you for whatever reason, but after a certain point, they will then drop in tier. So that also helps with really actually building good habits in your customer base, whereby they will always visit you frequently because they're a loyal customer, but you make sure that you stay top of mind as well because they don't want to lose that tier status. So now we have all customers with more than 250 points and a transaction within the last 181 days enrolled into this silver tier. And now if I go back, I can add a third and final tier. So it's going to be the gold tier, and it's going to be the top level, most difficult to reach. Again, you can add your image here if you have one. It always helps if you have a nicely designed image to add to each of your tiers. The total credits received are going to be 500 for this one. They were 250 for the silver tier, so I'm going to do 500 for gold, and I'm going to hit create. And now I'm going to click on this again, and I'm going to go to the entry criteria and enable additional criteria. and I'm going to actually apply the same filter here. So it's going to be based on the last transaction date, and it's going to be less than 181 days ago. And I'm going to save that filter. I'll get that overview again. And now that's been completely configured. Now, when you navigate back here, you can hit synchronize in the top right-hand corner. You'll get an overview of what those changes are going to be, what the difference in tier will be. So I'll have 22 new members in the silver tier, 2 new members in the gold tier, and I will have 41 new members in the bronze tier. I'm going to hit sync, and you'll see that you have a progress bar here in the top right-hand corner. And now it's updated, so I have 22 contacts in the silver tier, 2 in the gold, and then the remainder of my customers are in that bronze tier. You can also see here that I have perks. That's something I'm going to skip for now because it actually only applies to our customers who are using Shopify and Lightspeed. So that's something I'm going to cover in a later video, but this is just the start of how you can use tiers to add a little dimension to your loyalty program, make sure that you encourage the right habits among your customers, and really boost your RFM score.